Oh, how is everyone today? I hope you're well. I just sat with Spirit. That's why I didn't announce my topic beforehand, so that I would get an idea of what to talk about today. And I was given a vision when I was meditating to this morning, almost this afternoon, really, about joy, love, and fear. And I was guided to speak about joy and love and how a lot of times on the other side of love, a lot of times there's also fear. We have fear of what might happen if we open ourselves fully up to what might bring us joy. And the vision that Spirit gave me today to talk with you about is I was shown someone in a canoe or a boat, let's say a rowboat, canoe, whatever. And then I was shown like a person in it, which would represent us. And we're like trying to row across this lake or this body of water, and we have no idea where we're going. We're working really, really hard. And then in the distance, I saw the bright light, which represents spirit. And when we're rowing in our boat alone, on our own, it can be very hard. There can be struggle. What I was shown is that when we connect with spirit, when we begin to learn to connect through spirit, we're given stepping stones. Those stepping stones turn into a bridge, and I was shown like an arched bridge. And then we begin to walk over that bridge to spirit. When we connect with our own soul, when we connect with our guidance, our guides, and work in tandem with spirit in our lives, we're not struggling alone in this boat trying to get across a body of water where we don't know where we're going. Instead, we merge with spirit, and what's shown ahead of us is this bridge. It's so much easier because we're walking over the bridge with spirit rather than being alone in the boat on our own struggling. And that is what I wanted to talk with you about today, is when we connect with what brings us joy, and when we think about what brings us joy and what we really deeply want to do, there are times where we're just so overjoyed, we're like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And then there are times when the fears and the doubts come up. And then that's what stops us. You know, my daughter has really been enjoying watching American Idol. And I heard about this band called Lucas Graham. I've been falling in love with this band, falling in love with this song that I heard on American Idol. Never heard of this band before. And this band sings this song. The lead singer sings this beautiful song. And I wrote down a couple of the lyrics. And this song is called When You Love Someone. And it says, when you love someone, you make room. When you love someone, you open up your heart. If you love someone and you're not afraid to lose them, you probably never loved someone like I do. And I thought about that on a couple different levels. I thought about it on one level as a medium in the work that I do, and how the healing and the heartache and the grief that comes when we lose loved ones, and the healing reunion that happens in mediumship when we connect to a loved one, and how that when we open up our heart to love to another, there is that fear that we may lose them, and that does sometimes happen when we lose a loved one. But we never really truly love them. Their spirit and their soul remains with us, okay, just in another form. So that song by Lucas Graham made me think of that. On another level, I thought about, if you love someone and you're not afraid to lose them, you probably never loved someone like I do. And it made me just think in general about love, which is why Spirit guided me today to talk about joy and love. When we open our hearts to love, whether it's to someone else or to the deep desires in our heart, another kind of love, that which will bring us joy, that's when our fears and our doubts come up. But what I was guided to say from Spirit is that it's perfectly natural and normal to have doubts or fears come up when we want to connect with what we love, who we love, what might bring us joy, but not to let that stop us, because we're flooded by Spirit's embrace in this lifetime. I talk about this a lot. We have a Spirit team of guides, our angels, our loved ones on the other side, our own connection to the divine. And they are embracing with us with love. When we, like I talked about earlier, when we walk across that bridge with Spirit, they will help us heal those things within our heart, those heartaches, those traumas, those difficulties we may have had in life, Spirit will be alongside us to help us with that. We may be guided to work with a counselor, a coach, a therapist, a healer. But it doesn't mean that if you follow joy and if you feel fear or doubt come up, that you're doing something wrong. What Spirit showed me today in my meditation is that when we actually follow the path of our heart, which is the path of joy, sometimes it's going to bring up things that we have to look at within ourselves. That's been my path. When I stepped into the path of my heart and really started following my guidance, there was healing, a lot of healing that I had to do. There was a lot of introspection, and it's part of my work, in the work that I do, to anyone that works in the healing arts, anyone that's a medium, our own personal self-development is like this. Here's the side of our professional side, where we work with Spirit to help and serve others, and here's the personal side that a lot of the public never sees, but it's definitely part of our path, is our own self-development. And hey there, Colleen. So that's really hand in hand. If we follow the path of joy, there is going to be sometimes fear. There is going to be doubt. But it doesn't mean that you're not following the path that will lead you to joy. The other thing I was shown in my meditation this morning is the more that we connect to Spirit through meditation, through self-reflection, through the simple things of life that bring us joy, but the more that we daily connect with our spirit, with our own soul. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining me. Then what Spirit showed me, I was talking about earlier, how when we connect to joy, sometimes we think, okay, I'm going to connect to my purpose. I'm going to connect to my path. I'm going to do it. Spirit showed me us alone, like in a canoe, or a boat, struggling, oh God, this is so hard. Am I ever going to get there? I don't know. What I was shown next was the bright light of Spirit. When we do our daily practice where we connect to our soul and to Spirit, what happens is instead of being alone in that canoe, we create these stepping stones, and then I saw a curved bridge. And so instead of struggling in a boat alone, we're walking the bridge with Spirit. It's so much easier to just walk over that bridge. So when we connect with Spirit through guidance, through meditation, through intuition, through prayer, through self-care, we create our own stepping stones. The bridge is the connection to our joy. So it's both this vision that we're working toward, that we're trying to, whatever you want to call it, create, manifest, attract, whatever. There is that path. And then there's also the daily practice that we participate in, the daily practice that also connects us to our joy. It's both. And so when we do daily practice where we connect into joy, then we're walking that bridge with Spirit. We're not alone. So some of this practice is, like I talked about, the self-development, but not to be afraid of that. Not to be afraid of the heartache that might come up, of the pains from the past, of the difficulties. Because when we really face ourselves courageously, what happens is actually our heart begins to open up even more. And we're actually capable of even more joy. So that's why I talked about that song earlier, where I found out about this band, Lucas Graham, from watching American Idol with my 14-year-old daughter. And they sing about that song when you love someone. And when you love someone, if you've never been afraid to lose them, then you've probably never loved someone like I do. And that's why I bring this up. And Spirit wanted me to talk about love and joy today, because there is that. There is sort of that. Are we going to open our heart up to love someone? Are we going to open our heart up to follow our path of joy? Will there sometimes be disappointment? Will there sometimes be heartache? Yes, that's the path that we've all agreed on to walk this earth, and that isn't easy. But on the other hand, Spirit showed me the joy that's on the other side when we do open up our heart. They also guided me to talk about a reading that I did. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Kelly. Many years ago. Many years ago, I was asked by a friend to do a free reading for a young woman. I actually never met her in person, but I'll never forget this reading. As soon as we got on the phone, Spirit began to show me a vision from her past. I won't get into details to keep this anonymous for her, but they showed me a very difficult memory from her past when she was in grade school, where she was bullied. The young woman immediately became very emotional and teared up and said, I know exactly the memory you're talking about, that it happened exactly as you're telling me. The next thing Spirit talked to me about was that she had gifts as a singer. She began to get emotional because she said that's true, but another incident happened when I was a young woman where she was traumatized by another person, let's put it that way, and it affected her confidence and her ability to believe in herself. And Spirit was showing me that these incidents from her past needed to be healed and looked at, because on the other side of this healing was her joy, which was her gifts and her purpose, part of which was her singing ability. And she acknowledged that all of this was true. So I bring this up today, guided by Spirit, to talk about this with you, is to not worry so much if when you follow your path of your heart, or you follow the path of joy, that there may be self-healing, there may be doubts that come up, there may be kind of the messy stuff that we would rather not look at or deal with, but that is really sometimes completely joined with joy, if this makes sense. You know, a lot of times, a lot of us will use that metaphor, analogy of giving birth, because giving birth isn't always easy, and there is sometimes physical pain involved with it, but there's great joy on the other side of it. And so when we're getting to know ourselves, when we're getting in touch with who we are and what brings us our joy in life, there are sometimes going to be difficult moments. There are sometimes going to be emotions that need to be healed. There's going to be doubts that come up. And that's perfectly normal. Part of our human journey is to, like what Spirit showed me, when we connect with Spirit, when we connect with the divine within us and the greater divine that surrounds us at all times, the path becomes a little bit easier. And when we integrate those practices into our daily life, whatever those practices are for you, for some of you, it might be prayer, it may be walking, it may be reflection, it may be creativity, whatever that practice is for you. When we join with Spirit, it kind of takes the edge off a little bit. We're not so alone on this earthly journey. And those of us that work with Spirit as mediums or healers or soul workers, you know as well as I have that we've all had to walk this path of self-healing, self-awareness, and self-development, but we're not walking it alone. And that's what I want to say to you. That's what Spirit, I know I keep repeating myself, but that's what Spirit wanted me to say to you today. None of you are walking this path alone. And when you really are willing to walk this path, when you open up to Spirit, to the divine, to the universe, and say, I don't know necessarily where this will lead. I don't necessarily know where this will ultimately go, but I'm going to put my trust in you, and I will walk this path. I will look at myself. I will heal what maybe needs to be looked at or healed within myself. I will walk this path, even if I feel afraid. Then what happens is these not only the big things, but the small moments of joy begin to become more developed within you. And when you are able to touch into those small moments of joy, you're not so much living for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. You're looking for the moment. You're not even looking. You're just able to be more present with your own soul and your own spirit, and that builds up the joy within you. And so then it helps give you the courage to walk that path toward the vision that you have, toward the purpose that you know that you're meant to live, toward the mission that you have. And that's what that I was guided to talk about today, really, with you, is please reach out in whatever way feels comfortable to you, and know that you are not alone. You have guides, you have angels, you have your loved ones in spirit, you have your greater connection to the divine that has been with you from birth and that you will carry with you into the next life. Your soul has this very firm connection to the divine. And sometimes what happens on our earthly walk is we have real painful things that can happen. And it's an opportunity to wake up and to realize, gosh, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to deal with this? I'd rather this isn't even happening right now. There's really some huge major things people go through in this life. But I know that part of my purpose is to remind you that you were guided, that you were supported, you were never alone. And when you merge with your own soul and your own spirit, you'll be able to sense and see and feel more all around you in your daily life, how you're being guided and loved. And I'm being told to say the word healed. I would not have normally said that, healed. This is definitely something those of you that are watching or watching the recording are needing, I'm being told, needing to hear. So I'm not going to do a long live today. I've also been guided to keep these lives a little bit shorter. I will be talking a little bit more in upcoming lives about a soul purpose class that I am creating that I will offer at a low cost on Zoom, and doing some intuition development with people as well. I send you so much love, so many blessings. I hope all of you, whoever are on my page, know how much I do care, how much love I send to you all, and how much I really feel for my own life experience. I have a lot of compassion and a lot of caring, and I hope all of you know that through the words that I speak today. So much love, many blessings to you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.